What the hell is Saw Sports or whatever that last call was talking about? What the hell is that?
Guys are from Free Love, man.
What's the motherfucking deal, man? Welcome to Saw Sports. I am your host, Ed Honcho. We're going to get into the 5 takes from the Chargers versus Texans game. And if you're not familiar with Saw Sports is a Houston, Texas homer network. We're talking all sports, but only Houston. This is primarily the Texans channel. If you want the other H-Town sports, collegiate, professional, amateur, make sure you go to Saw Sports TV so you can get all that extra content, with the rocks and everything coming up soon. Make sure you're there. Saw Sports, follow all the proper social medias listed down below. But let's stop wasting time. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let's get into it right now. So starting with number 5, and you know how these lists go. We go from 5 being the worst to 1 being the best. And as always, there is a bonus take, so make sure you stay tuned after number 1 to get the bonus take. Secondary is suspect. J-Joe, as much as I love everything he's done for the Texans, it seems like it's almost time to hang up the cleats. Again, I said it in the post-game stream. I don't know if it's J-Joe. I don't know if it's Cornell. You saw when he was kind of in zone coverage, when he was playing off, didn't look good, was getting beat. But when he actually started manning up, that he was making plays. He was looking like old J-Joe. So I don't know where the blame goes, but what's standing out on the field is J-Joe constantly getting beat, J-Joe constantly getting picked on, and it makes you question, is his time up? You saw Lonnie. Lonnie is making plays, and then he's kind of whiffing on some plays, allowing catches. It's a rookie, so I'm not going to put a lot of it on him. But at the same time, you're on the field. You got to make the plays. I think there was a bad PI call on him. I'm not going to get over that. Justin Reed is interesting. Some people try to call him trash. Justin Reed is probably the best secondary player you have overall right now. I think that injury, that car wreck injury, may have taken a little bit more of a toll than expected. I think it was a little bit more serious than maybe thought. And I think he's just a tough guy, and he's playing through it, but he's not. He's in the right place, but not seeming to tackle the same way. He was such a sure tackler last year. It seems like he's kind of whiffing. He's taking bad angles, but I'm not going to fault that against because I've seen so much more good than bad from him. You saw him get hurt, come back out there, still making plays. He's a leader in that secondary, and those guys need him to get lined up properly. I think if he's not available, I think you're going to see a lot more holes in the second. I think you're going to see a lot more issues in that secondary. Roby, not too much fault. Roby again. Roby, good coverage, allows some catches. It kind of is what it is. Gibson, neither here nor there. Had some good and some bad. You take the good with the bad. But overall, this secondary gave up 300 plus yards to Phillip Rivers, but especially Keenan Allen, 183 yards. You should never let a guy on 13 catches, 183 yards, 2 touchdowns. Keenan Allen had his way with this Texas secondary. That's unforgivable. So the 5th thing is the Texas secondary. But let's go ahead and get into the next thing right now. So number 4, as we work our way down, I want to talk about this offensive line orientation. You saw Fulton and Sharping out there at the guards. You saw Howard and Tunsil as your tackles. And then in the middle, Nick Martin. I'm going to be honest, the man in the middle, in my opinion, may have been the weakest link. But they've extended that guy for the next 3 or so years, so get used to seeing him around. Again, I'd like to see Fulton at center. Maybe find a way to throw Manx in there somewhere. That line to me is just... It's questionable, the things that they do, but I'm not going to complain because this may have been the best performance from a Texas offensive line in the last couple of seasons. I only believe gave up only 2 sacks. Howard looked serviceable. I'm not going to hate him. Had a couple of plays where he looked a little bit lost out there, but for him to be put on the outside, he did a pretty good job. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to hate. I think it was the right move as far as the game plan tonight. I'm just hoping that the Texans stick with an offensive line. This is the 3rd different lineup in the 3rd week. That was an issue. I said that, you should have that done in training camp. You should know who your starting linemen are going to be. You shouldn't be playing this carousel. You shouldn't be playing this guessing game. A quarterback should be comfortable with the guys in front of him that are protecting him. I'm not going to shit on the line today because, again, like I said, it's probably their best performance in a long time. Still got issues with Martin, but again, the Texans are sold on it for some reason. Billy O sold on it for some reason. I don't know. I just have an issue with Devlin products. If Devlin, you can call that a Devlin product. Has he ever put out a product? But it is what it is. They look solid tonight. Maybe him and Watson have the rapport. Maybe that's the reason why they extended him. I'm not going to shit on them. Texas offensive line number 4. Kind of good, kind of bad. I think after this, things get a little bit more good. In the win, I'm going to try to focus more on the upside as opposed to all the negative. So let's get into number 3 and talk about what we saw that was good from the Texans. Number 3, after a relatively quiet start to the season and kind of in the beginning of the game, J.J. Watt finally emerged into the guy that we expect to see game in and game out. I believe he was credited with 2 sacks and a tackle for a loss. I think it was 2 half sacks, equaling 1, and then I think he had a solo on his own and, a tackle for loss. And he made a couple of plays here and there. Looked kind of gassed early on. I was starting to question. I was like, we're going to go into a third game and Watt's not really going to be a factor. But then as the game went on, he came along. I think that little chip shot from his brother might have woke him up. Some, his parents were in the stand. He had to prove that he was still the favorite Watt son. Get it? Watt, son, Watson. Anyway, bad joke there. But it was good to see JJ because that's what you expect from him. That's the contributions you expect. And if you can have him, the rest of that defense was playing very good. We got that interior push. You can have him playing along with these guys, even with the pressure he was seeing. He wasn't getting as double teamed as much this game as he had in the previous 2. He was seeing a lot of one-on-ones, and I think that allowed him to thrive. I think he was able to take advantage of that and make plays. You saw him in the backfield often. So it's good to see J.J. Watt. We've been waiting on Watt, waiting for Watt, and now he's finally arrived. Hopefully he can put this together, and I think Carolina next week, with or without Cam Newton, should be another game where he's able to contribute in a similar fashion. So I expect to see this trend continue from J.J. Watt. Now let's go ahead and get into the number 2 thing. So as we make our way to the number 2 thing, remember, there will be a bonus after the number 1, so make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, too, if you stayed along this far and you're new to this. If you're true to this, hit that like button. Y'all know how we do it here around South Sports. Make sure you're a fresh ingredient. The number 2 thing is Kenny Stills made that deal. And what I mean by that is when the Texans acquired Laramie Tunsil, people thought of Kenny Stills as just being an afterthought being thrown in there, having some issues with Flores, the whole Jay-Z thing and everything with that, him kind of being outspoken about stuff. Even me, I was kind of taking jabs. There's a picture, I think, of him in a dress. I threw that up there. I wasn't really too keen on, again, like I said, an afterthought. He's just there. I think Miami just kind of wanted to move him. So it kind of was what it was. Maybe they thought he was a distraction or whatever it was in the locker room. That's just to bolster that deal. But if he continues to play the way that he has, if he continues to be a big play factor, the more plays that he makes, the more legitimate he makes that deal. The more worthwhile, the more of a value he makes that deal. Because Laramie Tunsil's good. It's nice to have him. But the fact that Kenny Stills is coming in and only having a couple of weeks to work with Watson, but it seems like they've automatically gotten on the same. Something about guys with speed and Watson, they're able to connect. He's been a favorite target of Watson in these couple of weeks, and you've seen him make huge plays. Had one they were just slightly off today, would have been another huge play. But Kenny Stills has been a contributing factor to this team since he's gotten here. And again, with more time to build up that understanding, to build that connection, to build that chemistry with Watson, I think it's only going to get better. And the fact that he's come in, embrace the city, embrace the community. He's met with the police chief, and they've had discussions. Police chief likes him, whether however your political views, I really don't give a shit. In the city of Houston, the fact that he's coming in and he's embracing and making himself an integral part of the city, that's an important thing to me. And the more plays he makes, I think the less people are going to give a shit about him kneeling. I really haven't heard anybody say too much about it. I just had to throw that in there. Want to know your feelings. So far, if you made it this far, I want to know your thoughts, man. Make sure you hit that comment section below, whether you agree, whether you think I've missed something that I spoke on, as we work our way to number 1 coming up next. All right, finally, we've gotten to it. I think you know and I know what number 1 is, and that is Watson the Wizard. Shout out to Jay Dizzle for that one. Watson the Wizard, and why I say that is today the offensive line gave Watson time, and you saw what he was able to whip up when he had time. It was a thing of beauty. But another reason why I say the guy is a wizard is just we've seen lots of mobile quarterbacks come and go. We've seen some greats. We've seen some guys. You've seen the Vicks. You've seen, just the big. You've seen guys who were just able to break tackles. You've seen guys who were just able to be elusive. You've seen guys who were mobile more so in the pocket. But Watson contributes all of that. And the things he does, and it was a play in particular where even the company, he sat, and then he just comes out of the pocket. Now, it was an incompletion, but we've seen this happen so many times. And again, you may have seen guys do it here and there, but I don't think with the consistency, and unfortunate that it shouldn't be as consistent as it is. But the way that he is able to evade the sack, if you really take into account how many times he was sacked last year, but if you also take into account how many times him alone avoided sacks, That number would have probably been in the 70s had it been anybody else. 70 plus had it been anybody else or anybody less mobile. Even if it was a mobile guy who was just less evasive. Watson just has this magic about him. And I think that's the kid's new name. Started here at Salt Sports. Watson the Wizard. The Wizard is making magic happen. When the O-line gave him time, it was a beautiful sight. 3 touchdowns, 351 yards, spread the ball out, 6 different receivers. You saw him making plays off schedule. Again, that's not Bill O'Brien offense. That's Watson's wizardry. And, I mean, to me, it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I can't wait to see more of it. If this offensive line can continue, have some continuity, can gel, and get familiar with one another, and the Texans keep it together and quit switching it up, I would like to see this unit stay together because I was most impressed by that. The fact that they kept him upright for the most part and that he was just able to make some amazing plays happen. So number 1, Watson the Wizard. Stay tuned for the bonus. So before we get into the bonus segment, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're new to this. And if you're true to this Texans talk, if you want the freshest flavor in H-Town sports, make sure you become a fresh ingredient by hitting that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button if you're already an OG ingredient in the sauce. Y'all know how we rock. Make sure you're following all the proper social media, Salt Sports HTX on Instagram and Twitter, Salt Sports the Facebook page. Make sure you join the Salt Sports Facebook group. All of the links are in the description below to make it easy on you, depending on what kind of device you're on, but all the links are there. Shout out to everybody who's been supporting the channel. Let's go ahead and get into that bonus take. And hey, if you're a fresh ingredient, you're the freshest motherfucking ingredients in the world. Y'all stay saucy. I'm going to catch y'all next time. Stay tuned for the bonus right now. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. There was a lot of positives that you could take away from this game. Don't want to get overexcited because it could be an anomaly, but it does have the Texans trending in the right direction. Really wanted to talk about Akins and some of the big plays he made, but I'm going to go with Whitney Merciless. Whitney Merciless has been playing lights out, has been making great plays. I think that forced fumble changed the trajectory of the game. It was a huge play that put us in position to win. You've seen him have a couple of those. He's the only guy on this team that has an INT, I think, in 122 pass attempts. No one in the secondary has an INT. Whitney Mercer's the only guy that does. You've seen him being consistently getting pressures, tackles for losses, sacks. Right now, he is the best defensive player on this team for what he's done, the statistical numbers that he's produced. And in reality, I feel like it's way too early to start doing it, but he may be in contention for some type of NFL honor. I don't know if you can necessarily call him comeback player of the year since he played all year, but most improved, even though I think that, I don't think he lost anything. He was played out of position, and we know whose fault that is. I don't understand how they couldn't find a way to have this guy contributing from his natural position last year. We're not going to harp on last year. Let's talk about the future. And if he continues playing the way and he continues racking up the numbers and the stats that he is, then you might be talking about Defensive Player of the Year. I would love to see it. It means the price is going up, and you're going to have to make some tough decisions if that is the case. This is a contract year for the guy, so you already have some tough decisions to make because you're kind of limited on pass rushers. You don't know what you're going to get and do coming off the injury. When he does come back, depending on how Watt's whole season plays out, this is something that you have to take in mind in the long run. But right now, as long as we got him, I love what Whitney Merciless is doing. I've always been a fan of Whitney Merciless. I hate the fact that they kind of misused him last year and people thought he was washed, so he's no good. And that's why it kills me that people only look at the numbers being stat sexuals because they're only looking at numbers and all this other bullshit. He was played out of position. He's a man on a mission. He's going to get paid. He's going to get paid a lot of money, even if it's not by the Texans, if he continues to play this way. But I have to say, Whitney Merciless is my bonus take because he's been playing great. He's been playing consistent. I think he feels it. I think he's reinvigorated playing where he's comfortable. So, with that being said, hey, Sauce Nation, I appreciate you tuning in this far. And if you ain't hit the subscribe button at this point, you tripping with yourself. You know you like the content. Whether you are a Texans fan or not, everybody's welcome in the sauce. All ingredients are welcome. Make sure you catch the live streams. It's your boy Ed Honcho. Y'all be cool like y'all be cool. But most of all, y'all stay saucy. And I'm out.
Perfect.